Support for LPB's 2023 Louisiana Young Heroes is provided by AmeriHealth Caritas Louisiana, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, Community Coffee, and the East Baton Rouge Parish Library, with additional support from Demco, Hotel Indigo, and McDonald's.
Hello, I'm Kara St. Cyr, and for the past 28 years, Louisiana Public Broadcasting has selected an inspiring group of students to honor as Louisiana Young Heroes. You're about to meet the 6 students from across our state who LPB is recognizing this year in a program that shines a light on their extraordinary achievements. Each of these students is smart, committed to reaching their goals, and mindful of the needs of others. Some of them have overcome incredible adversities, and we here at LPB are grateful to be able to share these moving stories with you. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate and honor LPB's 2023 Louisiana Young Heroes.
You only have so much time in a classroom. These are precious moments you can't afford to miss. Paying attention is paramount, but it's also a luxury Kaydence Bradford didn't have.
Think about your mind going like 100 million miles per second, and so you're like, oh, look at this, look at this, look at that. Oh crap, I may want to look and figure out how to spell a word. It was very challenging because you're feeling yourself being pulled in this direction, while all having something in front of you.
Wow, so I mean that must have been really difficult, especially, you know, at such a young age. Yeah. You said it was first grade?
Yes, it was in the first grade.
Kaydence was diagnosed with ADHD when she was 6, joining the more than 6 million other kids with this disorder. The acronym means Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, and the symptoms are exactly what you might think. Not being able to focus, frequent outbursts of energy, and fidgeting.
Well, at all, I didn't notice it at all. To me, it was just her. She liked to play around. She liked to run around. She liked to cartwheel. She liked to jump up in the middle of Walmart and start singing My Country, Tears of Thee, and get round in applause. That was just her personality.
Well, how'd you find out?
I found out from her first grade teacher, Miss Warren. She pulled me on the side. She said, don't freak out, because a lot of parents freak out when they hear this. My son has it. So I think you should get her checked. The reason I finally decided to say something to you is because Kaydence sat down on the floor and scooted from one side of the room to the other side of the room on her butt.
So it was the butt scoot.
It was the butt scoot. She was like, that was the final thing that lets me know that.
That diagnosis didn't hold Kaydence back. She found the right treatment. She went from a BC student to straight A's. She's able to maintain so well, she's an active member of 5 different academic and social extracurriculars. She's a student council vice president at Liberty High School. She's president of the Key Club. She's a junior representative for the National Honor Society, head ambassador for student ambassadors, and a biomedical chair of the Pink Week Committee. She led a week-long effort to bring awareness to breast cancer.
We wanted to raise the money because wearing pink is great to bring awareness, but to bring actual change, you need action. We did a pink run where we ran around the school. The teachers had on tutus, even the male teachers, hilarious to watch. But we also had different sponsorships, including Trader Joe's.
She ended up raising $2,000 through her efforts.
Miss Devitt, she's an English teacher who is a survivor of breast cancer, and she almost cried at the end because she was like, you know, it's amazing to see just the younger generation actually trying to bring change.
This is only the tip of the iceberg for Kaydence. Did I mention she's also a student athlete? A volleyball player, to be specific.
My mom suggested volleyball because that was her love. That was what she loved. So she was like, okay, just try it. And it was that first ball when I passed it. I mean, it was looking back, it was a pretty ugly pass. But that feeling I had when I just finally got the ball up, I was like, yes. So just having that connection was actually when I was in the 6th grade. So after that, I was just full-blown volleyball. No matter what I'm in, my academics will always come first.
Kaydence plans to start college on the pre-med track. Her goal is to become a pediatric orthopedic doctor. Kaydence has accomplished a lot, more than most kids her age. But of everything she's done and everything she will do, her mother says she's most proud of who her daughter's become.
I'm actually proud of her personality. You know, education is good. You know, her intelligence is good, but it's her personality and her her giving nature. Like I say, everybody loves her. Everybody that comes in contact loves her. Everywhere we go, she has overcame so much till it's amazing. We can't even go into all the details of what she has overcome, the things that she has saw. They like to call her the Southern University student, extra student, because she literally was on campus with me all her life. I just can't stop talking about this little girl. I'm just so proud of her.
I would put myself as someone who's always open to new things. You know, I'm always open to the idea of trying new things, never trying to close anything out, you know, and just trying to be accepting of others as much as possible, you know.
These words are what 17-year-old Canaan Hoosier lives by. Being open to trying new things, accepting others. It's a mantra he's learned from being in challenging situations himself, ones most kids will never experience.
And when Canaan was born, you know, he started having issues, and he had to have 4 eye surgeries, and he broke his femur, and he was in a wheelchair for 3 months, and it was so difficult. You know, it's just your heartstrings, and of course, you know, as a parent, that's your first thing is you hurt for them because you watch them going through it. But then it's also, you know, you have a sense of pride, and you watch them overcome.
These are just a few of Canaan's challenges. He was diagnosed with a learning disorder at a young age, and even battles with an autoimmune disease.
I'd say it gave me more awareness of others, you know, especially who may have disabilities or something of that nature. I feel that I can relate to it more, you know, and really just offer insight more into in how they live and, you know, the things that they may be dealing with as well.
It's this perspective that's motivated Canaan to pursue all he can in life while making it easier for others along the way.
Let's see, well, it may just be that simple, actually, yep.
His plan is to help construct an outdoor classroom at Buckeye High School. The goal is to get kids to learn about the outdoors while being fully immersed in it.
So where those 2 tree lines meet there in the back, it's tucked all the way back there in the corner.
So it's out in the woods?
Pretty much, yes, ma'am. We're gonna educate children about their effects on the environment, what they can do to conserve it, and just to learn about it in general.
Is this something your mom also helped with?
This is something that we both had the idea together, and we kind of got the ball rolling on that.
Are you excited?
Absolutely. I love the outdoors. I live for the outdoors.
He also has a passion for fashion. Kind of. He's a volunteer for the Cinderella Closet.
What we do is we prom, obviously, at every high school, and for girls that don't have the ability to buy a dress or, you know, may not be in that situation, we actually take donations that they can go in and have access to a bunch of dresses. Even besides dresses, stuff like shoes for anybody to wear, you know, I mean, it's like entire outfits that you can get yourself here.
About how many dresses do you think you have in there? Hundreds, huh?
It would definitely have to be an estimation for sure, but it is hundreds, like you said. My mom usually helps with the dress parts. I try to get some of the accessories because she knows the dresses better than I do.
You think you have good taste?
I try my best to, but I've been told different, so.
Oh, really?
If the Cinderella Closet sounds familiar, that's because it is. Canaan isn't the first Hoosier Young Hero. His brother Gabe took the title last year, in part for his work alongside Canaan and their mother, giving girls an opportunity to go to prom.
Once Gabe graduated, Canaan kind of stepped into that role as the National Honor Society president, and now we have 260 dresses that are formals of all shapes and sizes, and the community has been great in opening up, and they know that that's a need, and we love the name Cinderella's Closet because it lets the kids feel like for a day they can be Cinderella.
When Canaan isn't building an outdoor classroom or organizing the Cinderella Closet, you can find him powerlifting or leading Earth Love, an environmental outreach organization that he co-founded. You can also find him leading the National Honor Society at his school.
What do you think is the most important extracurricular that you have?
I would say probably directly National Honor Society. I just say because that club alone really gives you the greatest opportunity to go out and help others.
Canaan has some time before he goes off to college. He's still a junior, but he has his eyes set on biology at LSU, so he can continue to serve the community that he loves. Home insecurity is a concern the average child won't have to worry about. It affects 2.1 million children each year. But it was Lindsay McKinney's reality for a bit of her childhood.
It made me feel less of a person,
It made me feel like I was never able to accomplish everything. It made me feel like, I don't know, it just made me feel different from everyone else.
Homelessness was an unexpected roadblock in Lindsay's life. She was born in Chicago and lived there with her grandparents up until her 5th grade year. That's when tragedy struck.
In Chicago, it's like I had everything. But once I lost my grandparents, it was just me and my mom. We had to deal with financial burnings, and it was hard on the both of us, especially because I was just getting out of grammar school and I had to go to middle school in Baton Rouge.
Lindsay and her mom stayed with family members and in shelters. The imbalance of her life started to take a toll on her mental health.
Because when I would go to school, all my friends, they would have somewhere to go. But after I leave school, it would just be me and my mom, and we would have to struggle with trying to find somewhere to go. So it was hard trying to deal with that.
But the imbalance was temporary. Eventually, her mom would find work with the state of Louisiana, and things would slowly begin to turn around. The home insecurity that was originally a source of shame became a motivation to do well and work hard, but also to volunteer.
And in the beginning, I was embarrassed about it. I was afraid that other people would think of me differently or judge me. But in reality, it just shows how mature I am and that I'm strong enough and I can get through challenges and I can overcome challenges.
Lindsay became more involved in several after-school activities that required giving back to the community. She volunteered at the Baton Rouge Food Bank, where she helped give away water to the less fortunate. She's volunteered at Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital and helped clean up the Sweet Olive Cemetery.
I went to the Children's Hospital here in Louisiana in Baton Rouge, and for Christmas I organized different toys for the sick kids who weren't able to go home to their families for Christmas. Also, some of the things that I did my freshman year was I cleaned out the graveyard at Sweet Olive Graveyard, and I just made it prettier.
Of course, these are just a few of her accomplishments. She's done much more. She's a member of the Beta Club, treasurer of the Student Council, and Student of the Year at Franciscan High School. The faculty have taken notice.
You know, Lindsay is an impressive young lady. You know, she kind of racks up these accolades and is real steady in her demeanor. You know, she kind of carries herself with a little bit of a confidence and puts herself out there. And so to see that she's been rewarded or been awarded is, no surprise.
Becoming a Louisiana Young Hero was just the icing on the cake.
It made me feel good because I was one out of, I guess it's 7 people in the entire state. So I felt like what I was going to say was going to impact other people.
Lindsay plans to study at LSU, majoring in finance. But more than anything, she hopes to inspire other kids who've been in her shoes.
I want to say that even though I have went through this and it's very vulnerable, I feel like what I'm saying right now is powerful, and I hope that it encourages other people and gives people hope who are in the same situation I am. And I also want to say that you're worth it, you're valuable, and don't ever think that you're less because of a situation that you're in.
Even though I have a lot of disabilities, I'm able to be successful and thrive in school and thrive in my life.
Looking at Nicholas Tarver, you can likely see the signs of his disability. He walks with a cane and sometimes needs an aid to read and write. He's also blind and epileptic.
There's blessing,
But what most can't see is his sheer determination to live life to the fullest.
Allison just told me that you stayed outside of his hospital room and prayed.
I did. I was scared if I left that they wouldn't know that he was supposed to stay around and be with us. So I spent the night, or a couple of nights at the hospital in the waiting room so that he would have company. His handicap is not a handicap. He just works around it. His grades at school are awesome, but nobody knows how many hours he puts in practicing and learning and reviewing everything. So I guess I don't know what I could say I'm most proud of, except that maybe it's just his attitude about life.
Out here on his family's farm, he's a rancher, an athlete, and a role model. A normal 17-year-old. But it was an uphill battle to get here.
My right arm and right legs can be tight. I get around with my cane, sometimes my wheelchair. Get around with basically with my action track, cane, wheelchair. It's anything that I can.
He's actually a miracle baby. He was not supposed to survive the night. And if he did survive 24 hours, it was going to be substantial mental disabilities. So we were faced with that, which was, of course, for new parents, heartbreaking. But as we went through it, we realized that he was actually quite phenomenal.
Nicholas has cerebral palsy, which is a neurological disorder that affects muscles and motor skills. Sometimes it creates counter issues like blindness and epilepsy. It's a rare disease that affects only 2 to 3 babies out of 1,000.
It took me a little longer to come to grips with what that meant and fully understand it. So I would say I was probably 2 years easy understanding the limits that were going to be put on Nicholas.
His limitations make everyday life harder.
My youngest son is 12, and he gets up at 6:40 for us to be out of the door for 7 o'clock. And Nicholas gets up at 6. But Nicholas gets up at 6, and he can brush his teeth, wash his face, he dresses himself, he can do everything that he does. It just may take him 45 minutes instead of 10, like my youngest son does.
And yet, here he is, beating the odds. Nicholas works around his limitations.
That were accepted for publication. To the over 30 societies that submitted their
Allison and Nicholas learned Braille. He uses it to do his homework. He writes essays, even speeches.
And have a voice in this great organization.
He's a part of several organizations that rely on his knowledge and expertise to function. As president of the Children of the American Revolution, Nicholas was awarded by the Lieutenant Governor for his dedication to preserving history at Fort Jessup.
When I was state president, so my project was, why no man's land? And I wanted to, bring awareness to no man's land and for the people to know about no man's land. The Lieutenant Governor gave me this award from, again, my outstanding work on no man's land in my state project as president.
He's treasurer of the Future Farmers of America, where he proved that kids with disabilities can still make a difference in agriculture. But why stop there? He's also an athlete. Nicholas is a proud participant in the Gumbo Games, or Games Uniting Mind and Body.
So I throw the javelin, shot put, and discus. I've qualified in Move United Junior Nationals, which was held in Denver, Colorado last year. I was actually national champion in all 3.
Awesome.
And then I qualified in the javelin and shot put so far for this year's Move United competition held in Hoover, Alabama. That'll be in July of this year.
Nicholas is living a fulfilling life. He's accomplished more than I can list. He's happy. His family is proud. If there are young heroes worth celebrating, Nicholas is definitely one of them. Kelsie Tillage is an A student, a tutor, and a published author. With all of her accomplishments, it's hard to imagine that this reality seemed impossible at one point.
When she scanned the page, you read from left to right. She was reading up, down, sideways, backwards, and it wasn't dyslexia. So it was kind of really hard to pinpoint, but she was not reading.
So as ironic as it is, while I do have a good memory, I didn't know I had a problem. It was never known an issue, probably until old enough to understand it, that hey, I'm reading behind, or hey, I can't do this.
She was also struggling to speak. Her mom says the vocabulary was there. The words just wouldn't come.
Like I said, it was just more of an enunciation sometimes. We wouldn't hear it, wouldn't quite understand it. She would get words mixed up.
Kelsie's teachers were worried that she'd never catch up.
When she was 5 years old, they wanted to hold her back. And that's when I was like, okay, the light bulb went out in my head, like, Mom, you gotta activate.
At the time, Kelsie's parents didn't know it, but she was struggling with ADHD. For some kids with this disorder, speaking and articulation can be a struggle. reading is also difficult because the child can't focus on the page. That's what it was like for Kelsie.
From my perspective, it was like, I think more so with the ADHD, it was kind of hard just to stay focused on one thing. Like I would kind of pay attention, then I would look off to the side, or I'd look at this, and back in my head, I'm thinking about what I'm gonna have for breakfast or dinner, or whatever was time of the day. But that was it was always like, whenever there's a word on the page, I paid attention to everything but the word.
But this wasn't the end of the road. In fact, it was just the beginning of a years-long effort to not only learn to read, but to master it.
When they tested her at 5 years old, she was behind the scale. But then once they tested her in 5th grade, she was above the scale. And she just fell in love with reading.
One of the things that we fostered was, I don't care what you're reading, read. And her choice of books were just all over the spectrum. The books that I wanted her to read, she didn't want to read those. But and as long as she was reading, we were really, really excited about that because she discovered it so early, and it took her to places that normal children or children that aren't as exposed and aren't reading, shouldn't say normal, that they don't get that opportunity to expand outside of their environment.
Kelsie's parents were able to improve her reading with years of practice. But with that came a love of literature that would follow her for the rest of her life. She tutors elementary school students who struggle with reading. It's personal for her.
Tutoring the kids has started gradually as I was younger. Like teachers would be like, oh, Kelsie, help such and such. Hey, Kelsie, can you do this, this, and that? Because I was so far ahead of the curve that I would already know this stuff, and I was able to kind of teach it and reiterate back. I think the only person I can't teach is my little brother.
She runs book drives. She's pushed her school to donate more than 1,700 books to the Center of Literacy. She's also earned the Gold Medal Congressional Award from the U.S. Congress. And if that weren't enough to convince you of Kelsie's dedication to literature, she's also a published author.
It's the Unpopular Opinions Anthology because we all have something to say.
Her book is a series of essays written by students expressing themselves and their opinions.
And I feel like in my generation, we just don't open our minds anymore up. We're so very headstrong, which is a good thing, but at the same time, it also has drawbacks.
Her life is just beginning. She's got college to look forward to. And her major, of course, has something to do with reading and research.
But I did do a research study on Black women and how generational trauma affects how they view their body now. And it kind of falls under the realm of what anthropology is, just like the study of people, and more so my specific section is cultural anthropology, not archaeology.
Of everything Kelsie's done, and of all the things she will do, her parents say they're the proudest of her character.
One of the things that just always brings me extreme joy is when I see my daughter walk through the school, and the little kids, they run up to her and they're hugging her, but not only that she takes time, but she knows her name. Everyone's like, hi, Kelsie, and she's like, hi, and she kind of goes back like that. So that's one of the things really thoughtful. I went to this school, so I know what it's like to be a senior and not to want to be annoyed by kids and what have you, but you just don't see that with her. It's just giving, caring, and thoughtful child. That would be what I would really want to get out. Everything else, it's on display, her intelligence, with rewards and giving back. But the main thing that I really, really want to get across is the fact that she is just loving and giving.
Same sentiment as my husband. She's very authentic, and I think that through this whole venture that has really captured a lot of attention, that she's very authentic to everything that she has experienced.
Fearless and amazing. Those are the words Mimi Webb used to describe her daughter, Vivienne. But when asked how she sees herself, the answer was much different.
I'm not fearless at all.
But when you think about the challenges stacked against her, it's hard to see her as anything else.
They were 34-week triplets, and she's the youngest of the 3 of them. And her brother was diagnosed when he was almost 6. It took about a year, and everybody ended up having autism. So that's when we first found out. Now she and her brother are Aspies, or they have Asperger's, end of things, for lack of a better way to put it. Most people don't acknowledge that part of it. It's all autism now under the new DSM. But that's when they found out. It was right around the time of their 9th birthday when they lost their exceptionality at school.
Asperger's is a developmental disability on the autism spectrum. It causes difficulty with communication and understanding social cues.
Nonverbal kids are a lot more at risk because they can't communicate these things with other kids or with their parents. And so I think that parents just wanted cameras in the classroom to make sure these things weren't happening to their kids, and if it was, that they could put a stop to it.
Vivienne also has epilepsy, which contributes to her anxiety. Her mom says all of her limitations are intertwined.
The anxiety has probably always been there, but she didn't have a name for it or know that's what it was or how to describe it, because when you have autism, you don't necessarily, you have emotions, you have lots of emotions, you don't necessarily understand how to identify the emotions. So you have no way to convey what you're feeling or what's happening to you.
It's kind of tough because of my autism, I get overstimulated more easily and more overwhelmed easily. But if I get overwhelmed, I get more anxious because I want to stop feeling overwhelmed. But then that makes me more anxious if I can't calm down on my own, because I don't want to be a burden to others or face more problems with reaching out, because like I was saying earlier, people are hard.
But don't be fooled by Vivienne's limitations. I only tell you these things so you can understand how truly amazing she is. She's proven that her disabilities aren't a barrier. In fact, they're a driver for her advocacy.
She's always sticking up for the little guy, well, because she knows what it's like to be one, or she's there with them, rather.
Vivienne's a member of the Louisiana Developmental Disability Council's Advocacy Network, or LACAN for short. She's gone to the Capitol to advocate and helped fund $2 million for the Human Services District. She's also helped enact policy that would put cameras in special education classrooms. This issue is particularly personal.
When I was in 2nd grade, there was a boy who had behavioral problems. He once threw chairs, like a chair across the classroom, and it almost hit my brother in the head. Every day he would come in like doing this with his hands, and my brother seriously thought he was going to shoot him. Another time in like kindergarten, there was a kid who would use my brother as a busy box and like just annoy him and set him off. And anytime I went, hey, can you do something about this? The teacher instead would punish me for speaking up.
Vivienne was awarded the Billy Michael Award in 2021 for her volunteerism and advocacy. In the future, Vivienne plans to continue her work as an advocate for people with disabilities. She plans to finish out high school, then it's off to a seminary college for a degree in fine arts.
And she has fought to be here from the very beginning, quite literally since conception. So she fights her way through life, and she does a bang-up job of it. And I'm very proud of that.
We were delighted to recognize the 2023 Young Heroes on Louisiana Young Heroes Day in April. The day was filled with special activities and recognition, and we thank everyone involved for making this occasion possible. Thank you again for joining us. For LPB, I'm Kara St. Cyr.
Support for LPB's 2023 Louisiana Young Heroes is provided by AmeriHealth Caritas Louisiana, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, Community Coffee, and the East Baton Rouge Parish Library, with additional support from Dimco, Hotel Indigo, and McDonald's.